Okay, we're back to working on our final project, and if you remember, we were just starting to build the run survey method, and basically this is going to be the big while loop that kind of makes everything go or keep going. And the one thing that we're going to have to do is, obviously, we're sending in a thing called choice, so we're going to have to check choice somehow. Now, if you think about how our menu operates, you can assume that the person entered a value from 1 to 4, right? So if they press 1, we're going to do something. If you press 2, they're going to do, etc., right? It's pretty much a given. But how long is the loop going to run? Until when? Think of that 999 thing. So while choice, how about, does not equal, I'm waiting for you guys to say it, 4, because 4 is exit. As soon as they hit 4 to exit, the loop stops, right? Okay. All right, so now really what we're doing is we're setting up that big loop, and the big loop, going back to the pseudocode, is going to be all this. So really all of this stuff is subservient to run survey. So you see that? This is run survey right here, broken into pieces. We can do if statements. We can do a switch statement. Doesn't really matter. Yeah, probably. It's probably nicer looking. So let's do a switch. And what are we sending to it? Choice again. And then what? Do a case. Okay. May I suggest, because we're going to have, how many different cases we're going to react to? 3. What happened to the 4th one? It is. So even though syntactically what I'm doing right now is not ideal, I'm setting these up, and then I know each one of them is going to have a break, right? Right?
Yeah.
All right, and then we're going to do stuff in here. Now, we already have a roadmap painted for the stuff we're going to do, right? So let's go back to that and see what we need to do. It says display survey, get user choice, display main menu. I'm just going to copy these. Now, it might not be quite right. I might have to tweak it. My first concern is this get user choice. Is that going to apply to what we're doing? I don't know. But these are already created, so they're not throwing an error. Yeah, but we haven't made that one yet. And what does the error say? Oh, hey, create a method. Don't you love an IDE? No, it's just a matter of where did it put it. There it is. All right. So that's going to be the first part. I think that if we're going to display a survey, now we should look at our cheat sheet here again. Display survey is going to put the questions and answers on the screen, prompt the user for a choice, get the user choice, send an answer, yada, yada, yada. Let's start simple. Let's start with the first parts there. Let's put the questions and answers on the screen. All right, that's pretty simple. How are we going to do that? Cortana. We were just talking about Cortana, people watching the video. Is there anything from here we can borrow? Could we, like, I'm just reaching here, right? Can I just, like, copy this? This is food for thought, okay? And we can just do gets instead of sets? Or is that dumb? You guys are busily copying this down. Now, why is it doing this?
Because you don't need it.
Yeah, I don't need it. Ah, I mean, we're putting it up on screen, right? So a logical thing would be system out and then inside the parentheses, would that work? You know it. So once again, a very mechanical process. Well, we're going to display, let's hold up, right? We just put the question up on the screen, and now we want to ask the user to pick, right? Thank you, Brandon. Now I'm just having this like thought in my head, and this is how my head works. Because they're going to get asked the question, right? And then you got to make a choice, right? So we're going to have to do this for each one so they know what to enter. Now, once again, I'm not going to do all your work for you, except maybe I will. That went on to the video, Chris. Thank you. I just want for the record that was a student, not me. Probably, but it's not quite HIPAA FERPA, but it's one of those rules. Actually, you cannot assume that.
Everybody's going to be at least 18.
Nope.
Not at. I've heard this before.
We have plenty of high schoolers take these courses.
They've heard worse.
Probably. All right. So we're displaying the survey. That's what we're doing, right? Display survey. So we put the questions up on the screen. Now what do?
Would you need a form to continue the very position, or you just want to put the system?
Whatever. I'm choosing to do it like this. Yeah, but the question was, can we put this in a for loop and have this process repeat? Sure. I'm trying to give you guys a way you can get it done quickly, though. Now, why am I doing this? Is this what we called it, get user choice? Apparently so. Do we need to prompt a user? Nope. Did we put it in there?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we did. Okay. Never mind. So that is going to take care of that step for us. Okay, so now that we have the choice, what happens? What do we do with the choice? We need to send it to the tally. Now we need syntax for that. Make what public? Up here? No, but you got to remember that all the questions that we created, this is the array for the questions.
Right, but if we took out the array, like, the question, or take a tally,
Could I do something like this? Let's see. Notice how, yeah. Isn't that cool? Because it realized that we are referring to one of our objects, and I hit the period or the dot, and then it realized that I'm using object notation. And it's like, what's available to me? Hey, there's a method called add to total. Which total are we adding to?
because we show spot 0 through 3, why it's really position 1 through 4 for the other.
Okay, so what should I type here, I guess, is really the 1?
Yes, twice.
Choice. Why choice, Brandon?
Because you don't know what the user gave you, so just pass in whatever choice they selected each way.
Right. Because if you remember in tally, we're going to be sending an int, that's the choice. Which one did he choose?
My thought process was right.
All right. So hopefully that makes a little sense to you. So we're back to the main program, but I'm doing Control S to save. Now this process is going to repeat 4 times. Now, I could write a loop to take care of this, right? In fact, that makes a whole lot of sense to write a loop. So why don't I go ahead and do that? So I'm going to do a for loop. It's going to run how many times? Just hard code it.
Question. Yeah, hard code it.
I'm going to hard code it.
Why don't we do not just do the array?
Yeah.
Because that's what we're basically not. You said do that. It's fine. Maybe we made it bigger to bounce off the array the entire time. Not that so.
Let's keep it simple. That's really kind of my thought. So everywhere here that we have a 0, we're going to switch these all to i's. So it's going to go through there 4 times. It's a repetitive process. It lends itself well to being in a loop. So for 4 times, right, we're going to start at 0, 0, 1, 2, 3, and it won't go to 4 because 3 is the 4th time. It's going to show questions, display the answers, get your choice, and it's going to add to the total, and when it's done, it's done. That's it. So I want to test that. So if the user goes to the main menu, chooses 1, they come here to take the survey, which will display the survey, get the responses, tally the total. Do I need to get user choice? No. Why?
Yeah.
I already did that. Right, I built it into the method, right? So I don't need that. Well, how about that for streamlining? You know what? We can actually test it, right? I don't see any marks here. We should be good. Here we go. This is so exciting. It is. It really is. We got to accommodate for it not working. Baby steps, one at a time. We didn't put in a provision for it not being a proper choice. So now the question is, how do we do that? Or do we worry about that right now? How do we check to see if something is valid? Yeah. Well, that's part of user choice. If we're going to check to see if something is valid, should we do that as part of this operation? We could? Yeah. All right. So we need to go back then and find get user choice. And what would seem to lend itself well, once again, would be a while loop maybe. So let's make a little space here. Let's do a while. We'll think about our logic here, but we will need curlies. Well, first thing that we want to think about here, we don't want to return the choice every time the loop runs. Not a wise choice. Okay, I thought I deleted something there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that return statement, I'm going to put it just outside that while loop. So what do we do? While, what's our logic? While maybe the choice is less than, okay, less than 5. Okay, so I can put -1 in there. And what if I did what? How about choice greater than 0 and. Isn't 1 enough? And actually, we're calling it user choice, aren't we? That would be an or. You could actually make that work if your logic is correct. So what is it saying here? It says, user choice cannot be resolved to a variable. Could we create a local variable? Yes. See, right here we declared it, but we're going into the loop and declaring it there, but we need it before the loop runs. So this is one of those things where we need to force a value so it runs. Now the question is, what value do we force it to? Yeah. In other words, we need to preset this so the loop operates. Well, greater than 0, it's not going to do it. It doesn't matter as long as it's one of them. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, or 4. Any of them just to make it run. So there's our validation check.
No, I'm going to go with her on that one.
If you did the OR approach, you'd switch directions of your greater than and equal to. So, for example, you would say user choice is user choice. Okay, so it's kind of like the inclusive or the exclusive, right? Right now we're doing the inclusive. So it's less than 0 or greater than 0, less than 5. The other way to look at it is less than 1 or greater than 5. And you would actually say the reverse, not. This is easier logic. All right. So hypothetically, this should work. Save it. Let's run it again. We'll take our survey. Be careful where you type. You got to click in the console to make it.
Uh-oh.
Uh, I'm not changing it. These are loop basics, you guys, right? While loops, you got to set a variable before to make it run. Remember this? I should have learned it intro to programming too, but I know I mentioned it a few times. You set it to make it run, and then when you're inside, you need to update it. So apparently our logic is wrong. The user choice is greater than 0, and it's less than 5.
It's always going to run.
All right, well, we're presetting it to 1. Then it's asking for our selection. It should grab the value, and then what should it do? Ah, so what do we do then? Switch this like I just said, right? All right, so what should we switch it to? Trying to see if you guys can guide me through the logic here. We did do this in class. We did this very much like this. In fact, if you have your notes at hand, you could easily pull it up. It's going to be a while loop. The question is, what's the logic for a while loop? While the user choice. All right, quick pause. Okay, so we did a little revision here, and it was just suggested that we try this approach. Now, this isn't going to work, though, because this is not going to trigger the loop to start, is it? Okay, so what would we need to do here to trigger it to start? We put in 0? All right, so let's do a step-by-step here. The user comes in, user choice is set to 0. Is 0 less than 1? Yes, only one condition needs to be true. If it's an OR, it's running. Enter your selection. We grab the input. Then what happens?
Do it again.
Right. So now are we okay? It's really the best way to find out. You should be able to logic it through, but we can always try it too. And we want to stop the previous program running. All right, so we're going to take the survey. So that obviously works. We still got to figure out a way to make it stop. Right? It actually does stop, I think.
Did you factor in the variable that we want?
Yeah, I think that we still have a logic flaw. All right, but really one of the reasons we were running this was to see what if we put in a 6. Okay, what if I put in a 0? What? Yeah, put in a letter, kaboom. Okay, that's a separate topic. It's really, this is where we get into exception handling. So just enter numbers. Leave it at that. All right. So that part of it works. All right. So if we go ahead and kind of logic through it one more time, create our questions, display our menu, prompt the user for a choice. It's already checking to see if it's valid or not. And then we take that choice and we send it somewhere. We send it to the main loop, which is this one. And then as long as the choice is not 4, we are going to find the case and do it. So we put in 1, we display the survey. Where's the survey? We display the survey. We have a loop where it puts out each question. We get the answer. And then when we're done with display survey, we display the main menu. Right? And then after we display the main menu, is there anything else we need to do? What's choice set to? Do we need to reset the choice? Okay, so how are we going to do that? How about maybe we ask them to re-enter their choice? Right? Because we're going to put the menu up. It's either yes or no. I think that's a marvelous idea. Okay, so now what are we going to do? Choice equals is that what we call it? Choice. Get user choice. And basically what's going to happen now is that allows us to change this value so we can get out of the loop. So really that's going to be part, these two steps are going to be part of each one of these cases. Right? Perhaps. And we might have to tweak our logic. All right, so we displayed the survey. So the next step really is to go back to our pseudocode and see what we can cross off the list. We finish this one. Well, we created display tallies, right? So if they make the second menu option, all we have to do is run display tallies. It's already built. Isn't that cool? So we can come back here now. So for case 2, we can just do display tallies. Why doesn't it like it? Let's see what it says. Create method display tallies. Ah. Yes. Anything else? Chris is right. You're going to display the tally. You can't just call a method from a different class that's attached to an object. You have to actually tell me which one we're pulling it back from. Is there a way that we can do that effectively? And is that really was that our second menu option? Yeah, view the tallies. So how are we going to do that? We're going to display for all of them, right? So does that sound like a repetitive process, perhaps? Okay. So let's say if we wanted to output 1, what would we type? Question dot
square bracket dot period.
So that would display one of them?
Yes.
We could do a for loop, or we could just, right, that'll work too.
Wouldn't it be a system?
Yeah, Brandon's suggestion is to pretty it up a little bit by just doing a blank line output. You know what? You can also add that to the tally class. You know? Yeah, so boy, my copy paste skills have really faltered. It's been a long day. It's good to create some visual space around stuff. But if we're going to display here's the what ifs, right? If we're going to go ahead and display, say this one, the question tallies, right? Shouldn't we display the question too? So could I just do a
System now.
what am I system outing? That's it, right? Okay. Is there anything else we need to do here? Do it for all the others, right? So this is where the loop comes in? That's where the loop comes in, right? But see, the approach that you should really pull from this is that you need to have your logic built first before you start worrying about the loop. Can we just use the, yep, same syntax as before. God bless you. What are we looping? Just this part. And I'm saving it.
You can actually delete the rest of those display tallies too.
Why is that?
So if you're iterating through a loop, there's no need to basically do 0, 1, 2, 3 because the counter I is already doing it for you.
That's right. So not only will it repeat, but it also simplifies the main body of our code. Isn't that nice? All right, let's try it. So now, not only can we take the survey, I'm going to type something in now. And notice I'm putting a different answer in for each one. And it popped us out. How wonderful is that? Now we can try option 2. And look at that.
You put one answer for everyone.
Yeah, I answered, I alternated. So I first answered 1, then I answered 2, then I answered 3, then I answered 4. You know what we should try again though? We should take the survey again. And this time I'll do it again. And now when I do the tally, see if they're adding up correctly. And they are. All right, I'm going to stop the program running. And I'm just going to, I do have to wrap things up for tonight. I know you guys are disappointed that I'm not going to write your whole program for you.
What would
But-
it take you to stay?
Cash money. Actually, being single would get me to stay. Because I have a wife at home who's expecting me home. All right, so let's save our work, make sure our work is saved, and then I'm going to go back to our pseudocode here, and I'm trying to see what additional things we need to do. Well, believe it or not, looking at this, I mean, this is sort of built, we're adding onto it as we go, but the easy part's done. The easy part is done. Now what's going to happen, and what I'm going to do is you guys need to finish this off on your own because I just can't do it for you. However, you have just garnered all the techniques necessary to finish the program. Because if you look at what's left to do next. We've accomplished all this from the main program body. And really, the exit thing, well, we can do the exit thing really quick. Let's do that, right? What's going to happen when they exit? I don't have a case 4, right? I want a default? How about after the while loop ends? The only way they're going to get out of this loop is by typing 4, and then what happens? They're done. Yeah, just do a system out. Yeah, it is. It is a little easy, but I got another one complete for you. Bye. Let's test that, okay? All right. So let's see. What if I type in 4? Okay, no. All right. So then, if you go back to our program logic, all you guys have left to do is code this. Now, I already told you the password part is optional, right? So what you need to do is you need to do the edit menu. That's it. That's all you have to do is just that. Finish this program. Now, if you look at display edit menu, that's got its own little set of things to do, right? Part of it is to put up the menu, right? Options. Now, I might suggest that if you can boil down your menu options to just be 4 options, then you can use get user choice again, right? But that might create a couple of little complexities. So you could actually do a separate little menu, or you could write a separate while loop in here. That's really kind of up to you how you want to handle it. But once you're in the edit menu, you got to think about what will happen. If you're going to go ahead and put this stuff back up on the screen, you just say which question do you want to edit, and you can list each question. The way you're going to list each question is by doing what? You're going to get the question. You're going to wait for the selection, and they'll say which question you want to edit, 1, 2, 3, or 4, right? Pick that, and then how are you going to do the edit? Yes, exactly. You're going to do it the same way you did the original create question, but this time, instead of hard coding, instead of hard coding these strings, you're going to prompt for the strings. So you're going to prompt for the question, you're going to prompt for each answer, and then once you've done that, you will then set the answers again.
Would it be string Q1 equals system.out print, and then under below that it would be the Q1 is equal to the next one?
Yes. Yes, absolutely. That's exactly how you would do it. I mean, you're in essence going to print, and okay, I was looking for this little flaw right there. I'm going to fix that one. You're going to do the system out print where you're going to say enter a new question, and then you're going to, whatever syntax is appropriate to get that string into that object, which is going to be basically question, square brackets, number, dot, set, question.
Does scanner accept input string and next line? Does scanner accept next line?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So I don't have to change scanner to this number? No.
Nope.
One word of advice that I would offer is that wherever you put a scanner, like where you do input that next line, always add another next line underneath it to absorb the carriage return. I learned that the hard way. So like, for instance, with our logic right there that's currently on the screen, because you enter a number and you hit enter, technically that enter is still in the carriage return inside of this, or the carriage return is still inside of the scanner. So if you were to try and do next line, it would absorb that carriage return as well.
know, this advice is very sage, and this one comes from doing it a whole bunch of times and trying to figure out how to make it behave a certain way. So let me go ahead and save that. Now, I removed the print line from here. That's, you know what, let me do this really quick before we wrap up, and we'll compare the two different approaches. Okay, so let's run this approach. Okay, so that kind of does the same thing, and the reason that happens is because I just switched to print here instead of print line. But if you have a print line, this will help to, like Brandon said, absorb the carriage return. So let's save it and run it again. I'm going to terminate this one. Normally when I'm working on something like this, I'll take this view and I'll put it on the second monitor so I don't have to keep doing what I'm doing right now. So enter my selection. Did I type it in? All right. I think you guys get the point. You know, in terms of preference, whatever way it works, my approach would probably be to just do that. But I'll leave this up on screen for those of you that want to try the other approach.
Are you having a problem with the choice? I was going after. Either way.
Oh yeah, I see what you're saying. So if I put it,
Because you're going to push 1 and then you're going to push enter. So next step would grab the 1, but then nothing grabs the carriage return.
okay. So you're saying you should try it like this? All right, let's go ahead and run it.
And you won't notice anything. Where you would notice it is in your edit menu. Because you're going to say edit the questions, and then you're going to make a selection, and you're going to hit enter, and then you're going to be able to start typing a sentence or a question, and that's where you're going to run into the issues.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, folks, I need to wrap it. I got to go home. But I think that you are well on your way to completing this. The edit question part, take it methodically. Think about what you're doing and build each statement. If you get one statement to work, you can then replicate it. You can do it in a loop or just repeat them. Get as far as you can. Partial completion does count for points. It doesn't have to be perfect to earn points. If it's perfect and does everything it's supposed to, it will get all the points. So I have great faith in you guys that you will do well on this. And if you need help, you can reach out to me. Of course, it is the last couple days of class, so it might be a little tight on time, but I'll be there if you need me. All right, good luck. We'll see you next semester.